In this final series, we're going to New Caledonia. Over time, the British and English governments knew that the world was against the mistreatment of Aboriginal people, so they began to recruit them to the army. From savages to brave-hearted soldiers, they would call them. The Europeans switched labels of the people publicly, truth being that they couldn't handle the Germans and needed real help. They recruited African, Caribbean, Hindu, African American, Indian, and Asian soldiers. And once the war was won, all of the people of France cheered through the streets, thanking these brave men for their sacrifice. The Europeans then made life easier for the darker brother, but didn't see them as equal. New Caledonia, 1931. Meet Marius Kaloie. He was tricked into leaving his land at the age of 21. He left for Paris with 100 of his fellow cadets. This was not an uneducated group. They had stores, resort workers, customs officials, etc. He trusted the French official who told him that they should display their cultural dance for the colonial expedition in Paris. This made the people excited, and 100 of them, from teachers, students, custom officials, waiters, and seamen, all went together. They were told they would return in 8 months. They had no idea that they would become tragic heroes and a part of French history. It started on the ship when they told Marius he couldn't leave his enclosure to use the bathroom or pray. The Frenchman's attitude began to change, and Marius realized he and his people had been tricked, like the Africans 100 years before them. They were forced to dance day and night, built in dugouts for the amusement of the other people. Their women had to breastfeed in front of hundreds of people in public. Some of the cadets were taken to Germany, where conditions were no better, and were forced into war. Back in Paris, they were forced to perform twice a week. Natives of New Caledonia was the official headline. The only difference from this story and the others is that the cadets wasn't presented as savages, but bold natives of the empire. France finally reached its goal to outdo the Roman Empire, reaching 100 million people. Most from other cultures forced into the ways of the French. The show reached a heavy ticket sale of 20 million sold. Paris exhibitions of the time was twice the size of Disneyland today in the heart of the city. All of this was put together by French President Gustave Doumer and Secretary of State Blaise Diagne. But 1931 was different from 1891. People disapproved of the human zoos, and the League of Human Rights and former colonists were protesting against it. People became conscious of the fact that you couldn't take regular people and present them as savages, no matter where they were from. Even Germany stepped back and advised France to end all the expositions and trips for purpose of exploitation. So they did. And in July 1932, the cadets returned home. But Marius Kaloie decided to stay in France and build a life with the woman he fell in love with, Juliette Gabrielle Favre, who refused to change the status of her last name out of fear that the public would know she married a foreigner. They had a daughter named Canet a year later. They never told her family history, but a friend of hers who turned out to be a journalist presented her with the story of her father. The Canet's descendants still live in France today, keeping their family story alive. The human zoos eventually fell when wars began to be the main focus of the country and the Germans began to invade Europe.